Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Friday edition of Steel Sharpens Steel. As always, I am joined by my wonderful co hosts, Joy Stevens,
Hello, everyone.
Chuck Hobbs, and the inimitable Sharon Letman Hicks. How is everybody doing?
Good evening.
Good.
Good evening.
Doing a lot better than our friends in the Washington, D.C. area, I'm guessing. Of course, there was a woman, a sister in Los Angeles who got caught up in a little Black Lives Matter versus Trumpites situation. So there is chicanery and foolishness all across the country. But this week on the show, the number one topic that is on everybody's lips is impeachment, or perhaps removal from office via the 25th Amendment. Now, current developments indicate that perhaps the 25th Amendment is off the table. Trump is certainly not backing down, although he is being a little bit quieter after his 12-hour suspension from Twitter and his indefinite suspension, at least probably through inauguration, from Facebook. I know that we have all been watching these things. What is your big takeaway, Joy, from what we have been watching between the developments on Wednesday and to this day?
First of all, when it comes to him being banned on social media, it is too little, too late. They have allowed the damage to build up to the point where he could do what he did on Wednesday, and now they're like, "Oh, hey, no, this isn't right." It hasn't been right. It hasn't been right for years, and I appreciate the fact that they have banned him, banned his account. Matter of fact, I just saw that he tried to tweet from the official POTUS account, and they were like, "Yoink!" No, we said no. I appreciate all that, but at the same time,
That's awesome.
they allowed this to happen. It's a Frankenstein monster. They built it, they gave it life, and now they can't control it, and they're trying to figure out how to kill it, and it's too little, too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a shame that it has come to this point, not only to the point where the president literally incited violence on a day that is mostly ceremonial just to confirm that Joe Biden was actually elected to be president, but also that he literally on the morning of Wednesday held a rally designed to amp up their actions and literally sicked them on the Capitol. And I was reminded earlier today, there has not been a breach of the Capitol since the War of 1812.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, people can just go up to the Capitol anytime, so it's no big deal. No, it has not happened for 2 centuries now. Well, at least two, not 2 centuries, but two
long
separate,
time.
yeah, 2 separate centuries.
Yeah.
And it's just remarkable that we have found ourselves in this place. Sharon, as a longtime political operative, what are you seeing in terms of tea leaves around these last 12 or so days in terms of both what is going to happen going forward and whether or not the Trump legacy is going to have its tendrils into the goings on as Biden assumes power?
You know,
At this point, Pelosi and the gang has nothing to lose. We're coming in with full force, controlling both houses. I'm sure Biden doesn't want it to be a distraction that the conversation of the day, every day, is going to be Donald Trump, but it's really not his call. You have to be that person in that situation to understand the fear of life that the congressional members were feeling. Really, no one's opinion matters now. That was a life and death situation.
Mm-hmm.
The unfortunate situation is they allowed it to get this far. People had to die in their presence. It wasn't enough for 350,000 people to be dead from the coronavirus. It had to be in the most violent way, and it had to impact them personally. Either had to be their kids or them. And in some instances, it was both, because some of them had their families visiting.
Right.
So the reality is that moment of crisis or death, unless you've had a gun pointed at you, or you've been in a home invasion, or you've been in a mass shooting, none of us can really relate the kind of trauma that they experienced. And what we were watching on television, Nancy Pelosi and her crew, I mean, she was so personally violated. Home team was in her chair, feet up. The powerlessness when you are so powerful makes them just as dangerous as he is.
Mm-hmm.
So they are literally fighting for their sanity. They're in PTSD mode.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is, everyone is giving him his crew a chance with the 25th Amendment. Okay, so they're trying to do all this soft stuff, resign, concede. Now it's too late, boo. It's too late. I appreciate the ceremonial impeachment again in the House, and I'd like to see a post-impeachment in the Senate so that he never can run again.
Right.
And the Republican opportunists who have been rolling over and being lapdogs all this time need to go through with it, because we need to behead the lion. Okay, everything. Twitter started off, and everybody else needs to cut off every opportunity for his oxygen to be in control.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Chuck, you shared an interesting note in our private group just before we went on broadcast about another social media platform that may be cut off, but not cut off by the platform itself, but cut off by one of the two largest disseminators of that. Feed us some information about that, please.
Sure. So Parler. You always do the French so much better than I, Tom. But Parler, because I'm an American. Parler is actually in jeopardy of losing access to Apple products, and that would actually be huge. One of my tight boys from Florida went to Morehouse with me, Jason Hayes, made me almost lose my breath laughing when he said most of these people who are Trump supporters have the $50 Walmart Androids. And I took a little bit of personal offense to that because I'm team Android and it just won't come into the iPhone world with the rest of you all. But seriously talking, though, I think that what I find interesting about Apple's ultimatum to Parler, that they make structural changes or they're going to shut them out or their product, is I keep thinking, what took so long? We have talked about it. Tom and I, Sharon, Joy, we talk about it all the time. Donald Trump's a coward. I just have been blown away that somebody's so weak. I've almost been offended when I have seen people make memes comparing him to Emperor Palpatine or comparing him to Bane. I'm like, this dude has well manicured hands, childbearing hips. He probably never fought anybody in his life. I'm dead serious about it. And people are mortified by him in his party. When he says jump over the last 4 years, it has been how high. And so it has been amazing to me over the last 2 days to see people all of a sudden get their spines back, get their balls back, so to speak, and able to speak back against a guy who has been a bully to his own kinsmen. And that's what it really comes down to, y'all. We have fought hard. Democrats, independents, progressives, we have been sounding the alarm about this man since 2015 when he strolled down Trump Tower and first started running, talking trash about the Mexicans, talking trash about Tom and my frat brother, Judge Curiel, and what have you. He was out the box from jump. And my former governor, Jeb Bush, and I disagreed with Jeb on a whole lot of stuff, and I know, Sharon, you did too, but Jeb Bush was the presumptive favorite back in 2015, as we all remember.
Oh, sure.
And Jeb Bush said on the stage early on during one of the debates, Donald Trump is a chaos candidate and he will be a chaos president. And I'll be doggone if that hasn't proven to be true over the course of the last 4 years. But I'm frustrated, and I know we'll talk about it as a group, and I'm sure our followers will discuss it in the chat as well. I am frustrated that it took Republicans so long to find their voices and say, you know what, this is wrong. There have been so many things that he's done that were just beyond the pale. And I find it somewhat self-serving as we're talking about it here. And I'm not trying to cast aspersions about it. I get it. Sharon hit it right on the head. If you've never been shot at, I've had the misfortune of being shot at twice. it is not fun. It hasn't happened since I was in college, and I won't get into the why and how on all of that. But it's not fun staring at a barrel of a gun or getting shot at. But those people's lives were definitely in jeopardy the other day, but it shouldn't have come to a self-serving, my life is in jeopardy, for Republicans to not understand that there have been hundreds of thousands of Americans who have died over the last year from coronavirus because they didn't speak out against this president, or that even on Wednesday, there were people who died because nobody wanted to speak out until it impacted them. And I've got a problem with that. So I look forward to hearing what your all's thoughts are about that throughout the evening.
Mhm.
Well, one of our viewers, Moni J, has confirmed, and I checked it as well, that Parler is gone from Google Play. And
Okay.
maybe that is why the Apple App Store is feeling a little bit of the heat right now, because the other major platform is already taken Parler off, at least temporarily, and it was directly related to the Capitol violence. And this is one of the things that is interesting to me. We had Josh Harley, who lost his book deal behind being out there like a clown. And I did grab my tweet to him.
Oh, you
because-
gave him the business today.
Oh,
Lou.
yeah. He said he was going to speak to the woke mob at Simon Schuster, and was so upset because they canceled his contract. He says because he was representing his constituents and leading a debate about voter integrity, although Missouri was a state that Trump won. And so his constituents really didn't have a dog in this fight. And there were 7 million more Americans across the country who definitely had a dog in it when their voices were trying to be overturned by his chicanery. And he invoked First Amendment permissions. And so I just had to tell him that it's a shame that a sitting senator has such a dim understanding of the First Amendment, because, of course, it only protects against government censure.
Mhm.
And Simon & Schuster is not a government agency. And in addition to that, they are capitalists. And all you people yelling about socialism, if they think their brand is going to be damaged by affiliating themselves with you, guess what? They have the right to cancel it. Bye.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did. So you can't have it both ways, Josh. And you simply were foolish. And the thing that is grating me about all of this is that not one, I mean, Mitt Romney wasn't one who was carrying the water anyway, and he has actually said that we have been lying. Not one of these congressional cowards has ever been willing to say it's not true, because you've been saying that it is true for 8 weeks, and so now you can't say it's not true, and they still want the audit. Guess what? Trump can pay for an audit on January 21st as long as it's an audit of all 50 states, and he pays for it with the money he grifted from the people who wanted to support him. I'm fine with that, because Biden's going to be president. Go on ahead and do it. And that will be the proof. If they really cared about election integrity, they would do that. And they would have Trump pay for it, because Trump is the one with the issue. But they won't, because it's going to show that there is no issue. And hundreds of thousands of fake and this and that and the third and all that. It's just a lie. And so that's why they can't do it. But getting back to the Capitol violence really quickly, consider this. Other than a State of the Union speech, is there any other time when every member of Congress, including third in line to the president, Pelosi, and the vice president, and in this instance, the incoming vice president, are all in one building at the same time?
I can't.
And they stormed that building, some of them wearing guns.
Yeah.
We have now heard that they smeared feces on the floor. This is what I'm saying. People talking about,
But we're the monkeys.
but we're the monkeys and we're the thugs.
Okay.
And the anarchists. Right.
And the
right,
anarchists, and you're
Right.
smearing feces in Viking helmets and stealing the damn speaker podium. Now I know some of you probably saw that there was an eBay post of the speaker's podium.
Yeah.
I'm sure that wasn't real, but it was already up to $15,000, which I thought was pretty impressive. But this is what we're dealing with. And Joy, you shared a graphic which I found to be amusing, so I'm just going to share it with our audience. You can always come to Steel Sharp and Steel and see the very best of what's going on in these interwebs. And so this is how foolish these people were. Yeah.
still warms my heart because I'm a
Oh.
gamer. I was loving the theme song.
No
doubt.
And did you notice he was kind of attired like Mario? Actually, he had the
Yeah,
little
he
red
really
sleeves going on, like some little overall things. There was a lot to appreciate in that, and the people have been doing the most in terms of memes, and there has been a lot of traction. You know, it is not completely abated. Trump finally did put up a wall to protect the Capitol. They have not really covered the extent of the damage, but offices were run through, devices were stolen, mail was stolen. Sharon was talking about the man who occupied Pelosi's office. He has been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Social media went right away, and all of the most famous people who were doing the most have been identified now. The state representative from West Virginia.
Can you believe that?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yes.
They have charged him, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
So he's not getting away with nothing.
they're police officers. They're
absolutely.
active duty military people.
Absolutely.
It's all kind of foolishness.
I'm a criminal now. Yeah, and you got what you wanted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is
I'm supposed to be at work. Shh. I'm
right.
like, really?
And people
Really?
are talking about resignations. People are talking about being removed from office. There's all sorts of things that are going on, and everything is still a confused mess right now. Joy, it sounded like you wanted to jump in. Take it.
I was just gonna say that, you know, they one dude showed up with his work badge still on his chest. Bro, did you call in sick today? Because they see you. Do you know I can see you?
And those are good. iPhone cameras are good.
Yeah.
You can zoom all the way into stuff now.
We're seeing pores and pimples on television.
That's what I'm saying. You got 4K
Bold.
cameras on a damn iPhone.
But you know, just to make it serious for a second, it speaks to the amount of entitlement and privilege that these people felt, that they have no mask on, even though they should have on some kind of face covering. They are waltzing up, they're taking selfies. The cops are taking selfies with them. All of them thought they were above the law because their leader has led them to believe. Since he said, if you do something, I'll bail you out, while he was on the campaign trail, he has led them to believe that because he is invincible, they are invincible. But he was not there. He incited all of this, and he's even feeling repercussions, not as much as I want him to. But all these folks are going to jail, every last one of them, because they're not protected. You know, they may get, some of the legislators might get a slap on the wrist. They're definitely going to have to resign. But some of these folks are going to do hard time. And there's not a lot of Trump supporters in prison.
Well, so let me ask you this. Because all of these things happened in DC, and Chuck, I'm going to ask you about this. Are the charges federal?
Yes.
So is it possible? Now, I know that this is probably a long shot, but I know a lot of these folks are waiting on Orange Jesus to wash them in the blood of the Lamb, because he came out. And you know it was through clenched teeth, because when he's excited about something, he's all animated and this, that, and the other. But when he had to do that little 1 minute video after he got his Twitter back, it was like, you all are bad people. You're gonna be put away in jail. You don't represent our country. You're bad people. And I think some of them are thinking that he's just gonna do just a wave of pardons, since these are all federal.
Tom, you know what's interesting about that? Now, I was thinking about this earlier this evening. If he does, and that still is a distinct possibility that he might, right? Because I believe Tom Michael, who works with HCAS with us, put on one of my posts earlier today that he had hoped that they would wait to arrest everybody after January 20th.
Right.
So that there would be no pardons. But consider this, with Democrats, Nancy Pelosi and everybody indicating that they're going to push forward potentially, like we talked about at the top of the hour, with impeachment. If Trump were to pardon these individuals that are being arrested as we speak, I think it would force the hand of the rest of the Republicans who are already pissed off with him. I mean, The big issue is, could we get to 2/3 of the Senate to remove him? That's always such a high threshold that's almost impossible to climb. But they're already not happy with him. They really are done. And if he were to go and flout the law and say, hey, I'm going to pardon these guys who put you all in jeopardy just last week, I think it's very possible that they could fast track both the articles of impeachment and the conviction, even if it's only like 72 or 96 some odd hours left I
Right.
think that he's kind of boxed in on that because he could wind up losing whatever last bit of faith. I'm not talking about the Ted Cruz's of the world. He's going to swing on the set until Kingdom Come. But there are a whole lot of GOPers that are not happy with that guy, and they're not happy with how he did his vice president, Mike Pence, either. That has been some fascinating stuff that's come out here today, too, that he never picked up the phone. I don't know if y'all heard that, but that was breaking news about an hour ago that Trump was on the phone when all the hell was breaking loose with Tommy Tuberville, trying to get him to continue to push forward to not allow the vote to go forward. And these folks are worried about their lives. He hasn't even much picked up the cell phone to say, hey, Vice President Mike Pence, you all right, bro? You need me to send in some reserves?
But he's not doing that because Pence is a coward. When he tweeted that Pence was not going to do it, they have recordings of people in the Capitol yelling, "Where is Pence? Where is Pence? Get Mike Pence." And
they
that's what
hang him.
That's what these people are really scared about.
Yeah.
Tear gas canisters bopping up beside their heads and then being chased out of their office by people who are acting crazy. Let's take a look at what Lindsey Graham is facing in National Airport today.
You traitor! You traitor! You traitor! You're a traitor! Lindsey Graham, you are a traitor to the country! You know it was rigged! You know it was rigged! You know it was rigged! You garbage human being! It's gonna be like this forever, wherever you go for the rest of your life! Audit the vote! Audit the vote! Audit the vote! Audit the vote! Piece of shit! Audit the vote!
So he was even being called a sex trafficker. So I guess the QAnon people have just lumped him in with the pedophiles and all of that. I guess he might have to open up that Pearl Clutch Emporium because, good Lord, they better have bulletproof parasols because those people are nuts. And this is exactly what they are all scared about. They're caught between a Don and a hard place because if they do what they know is right, they face getting attacked by their own constituents in their home offices. But if they don't do it, they are giving him continued power. Joy, go ahead.
I was going to say, again, this is the beast that has gotten out of control. They never expected to experience the same things that other people have experienced. You know, they never expected to be caught up in a mob that was yelling traitor at them. They never thought it would be that venom would be turned on them. And now, like you said, I don't see a path forward for them to save a cohesive Republican Party because the Trump supporters, which of the 70 million plus whatever that voted for him, you got to think at least 30, 40 million of them are diehards, like ride or die. If they'd had a chance, they would have been in the Capitol too. And those people, if they repudiate Trump, they lose that group. But if they don't repudiate Trump, they end up being the hate party, which they also don't want because that alienates the moderates. They got nowhere to go with this. And so all they can do is duck their head and hope it all blows over, but it won't. This will not blow over. You cannot pretend this didn't happen. It all happened in live time on camera. Similar to George Floyd's death, this happened in real time, and they could not massage the message before it got out to everyone. We watched that happen. You can't tell me I didn't see the cops moving barricades. You can't tell me I didn't see crazy people breaking down windows. You can't tell me I didn't see a woman with a noose saying, "Hang Mike Pence." All that happened. You know, and on top of that, a lot of the Trump supporters that were there have gone on to post social media saying, I don't know what they're talking about, saying that it was Antifa and BLM. It was us. We did it.
Exactly. They proud.
Like, you got
go ahead, Sharon, take it.
Wait a minute, I gotta get my laughter out.
Yeah, get your laughter and your snaps, and then go and pick it up.
So I got a couple of things to say. That was good, though. That was good. Hats off to them. We have to realize the layers of this BS that's happening. Layer number one, Black people were able to do it with BLM. So it's no longer that we are thugs and looters. It's, oh, them Negroes can do it. Them ninjas got to do it. We're going to show you how you should have done it.
Well,
okay. Number one. Number two, Chucky Poo, they've got to behead the lion.
Mm.
What people don't understand in America is that this man has no filter, no chill.
Nope.
He can pardon at 9 a.m. on January 20th. He don't need 36 hours. He don't need 24 hours. He can pardon. Let me hear everyone listen up. He can pardon at 9 a.m. on January 20th. He is the president of the United States until 11:59 a.m. on January 20th. He already said he's not going to the inauguration.
Right.
What the hell you think he's going to be doing?
Yeah.
So I just want, the media fucked up for me today because they were pressuring everyone to be arrested. I believe there were people in the room saying, we ain't arresting nobody till January 21st.
Right.
We know where they live. We know that they're sitting, thinking they're getting away with it. They should have sat their asses down till January 21st. But no, the media has to do their job. So they're putting everybody's name up. They're doing facial recognition. They're telling you where they work. People are getting fired. Great. I'm surprised they had jobs. People are getting removed, all of these things. Some of these Babbitt idiots are just out there, doing what they do. We give them far too much intelligence to actually think they should know better. Some of these people are just straight idiots. So the challenge that I have is he has nothing else to do. He's not running this country.
Nope.
So he is watching the news. He can't tweet, and he's got to get revenge. He has no ability. He is unable to not extort, demand, execute revenge. You are cutting off his oxygen by cutting off his Twitter. Mm-hmm. You've got to behead. They've got to impeach. They've got to impeach with impunity. They cannot just, it's just going to go away. That's for soft motherfuckers. He ain't soft. Okay. He has no chill. Behead the lion. Yeah, every time people give him a benefit of doubt, he apologized. Sweetie, it's gonna be all kind of trash, Trump pardoned at 9 a.m. on January 20th. And because it's constitutional, there ain't nothing nobody can do. You know that, Chucky.
Amen.
Well,
Amen.
What I've heard a theory floated that if they were to get Pence and the cabinet to file 25th Amendment
they ain't gonna
issues,
do it. But wait,
if they did, then it could be tied up in Congress until after the inauguration, effectively putting Trump in a corner. Because if the vice president and the cabinet actually invokes it, and there has to be debate on it, while the invocation is in place, apparently Pence might be in charge because it's an evaluative process, and he's already skating on thin ice. But I don't know. All of these people, I mean, he may be right. A lot of them are cowards, and I don't know how many of these folks in places where it is Trump country. Obviously, if you're in a blue state, it's not such a big deal. But if you're in a place where you have all of these Duck Dynasty folks running around in the streets with their guns, who knows what could happen?
Right.
These folks think they are Trump's army. And you had...
And they think they won the other day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Donald Jr. is out there saying, this is no longer the Republican Party. This is Trump's Republican Party. And some of these folks are like, the hell are we going to do with the mess that we have allowed to be made? It's like somebody on one of my favorite podcasts, Pod Save America, said, well, that escalated slowly over the past 4.5 years. It's like, you act like this was some immediate flip, some irrational act from a normally rational actor. He never has had the constitution and the temperament to hold this office because he never intended to hold the office. And it's fundamentally incompatible with his executive fiat that he exerts over his Trump organization. But I wonder, because there were other outbreaks across the country, none as intense as this one, obviously, in terms of numbers. I really wonder what the post-inauguration play is going to be. They're already talking about staging a huge thing. Ha ha, fooled you. Biden already said he doesn't want all that. Biden's going to be sitting somewhere behind the barricade that they built up. He's going to put his hand on that Bible and he's going to say, let's get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, he don't give a care about marching and all that foolishness, and he just wants the job.
I saw a tweet that said we need to do a Zoom call for the inauguration, and they can send a DocuSign. You know, like, they don't know.
It's going to be on Clubhouse.
Right. So it's all virtual. Let me just say something quickly, Tom, and I'm going to stand down for a second. We need to learn from what has already happened. Okay? January 6th was declared weeks ago. They announced they were coming.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
They told you they were going to storm. I mean, when are we going to believe what they say? They have already announced the Million Militia March on January 20th. They've already announced it. It's called the Million Militia March. Why don't we understand that these people talking about he needs an audience? He got an audience.
Right.
He's going to have his Million Militia March. He's going to walk out on that stage and he's going to pardon all of them. So we need to understand they are non-apologetic about putting their agenda out there. We don't need to overthink this. He has declared he's coming. They're going to do it on a state level on January 17th. They've already announced it. They're going to take over state capitals. They're going to take over major cities. They're going to inundate with their cult-like manner. You saw what they just taunted a U.S. senator in the airport. Why were they allowed to get so close to him?
Right.
I mean,
he had 10 cops around
one of you
him.
said this earlier. You said Pence, Pelosi, Mitch was all in the space. How in the world was the perimeter of that Capitol not protected?
It was right by the damn steps.
Counter protest going on.
Right.
There were bombs found at the DNC and the RNC. Nobody's talking about that.
We're talking about it now.
You cannot be that calculated without training. There was significant military, past and present, a bunch of police officers, people who are skilled in knowing how their counterparts will operate.
Yeah.
There was intentionality. They had the governor of Maryland on saying he begged them, just give me the phone call. We were ready to go. The governor of Maryland, where I just moved from Maryland, it's just they have to get permission to move their guard in. People, I kept hearing people saying this was planned. I was like, how? And now that I see all the evidence, we don't need to second guess January 20th.
Nope.
They have already laid out their plan. And because we sit here and want to give everybody benefit of the doubt, we are a bunch of sitting ducks if we don't believe that they're going to execute as predicted.
You know,
go ahead, Joy.
That's one of the things that a couple of my friends were talking about earlier today is let's remember that Trump and his entourage have resisted this peaceful transfer of power. They've also resisted and barred Biden's people from being involved in any of the security briefings. So to me, that says that they knew something was building and they didn't want them to have any sort of inclination of what was going on. You know, so I think it goes a lot. Somebody said it's an inside job. I think it goes a lot deeper. Let's remember, again, 2006, white supremacists have been for the last 15 years. So that goes all the way back to like 1990, infiltrating the police forces across the country, not just in the places where people get shot, but everywhere. There's a lot of people that were involved to make this happen and make it look like it was an accident. You know, I mean, we can go back to Epstein. We want to talk about making something look like an accident. They've been doing.
So let's take a brief look, courtesy of the folks at the Lincoln Project, with this very compelling recap of the last 72 odd hours.
Okay.
CNN will now project that Democrat Raphael Warnock is elected to the U.S. Senate.
Today, though, we're going to see a very contentious counting of the Electoral College votes in Congress.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote?
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object.
We're going to the Capitol. We're going to try and give our Republicans the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country.
Let's have trial by combat.
Protesters are in the building.
Thank you. Pro-Trump loyalists have stormed the Senate floor now. This is an enormous security nightmare.
I don't have an explanation of their failure, but there is a friggin' failure.
I want to know from the Capitol Hill Police, why do you scream at people for walking across the street, but then Trump supporters come in and you open the fucking doors for them?
In their minds, they own this country, they own that Capitol, they own the cops work for them, and people like me have no damn right to try to elect a president.
Where's the Homeland Security Secretary? Where's the acting Attorney General? Where's anybody in a role of federal leadership?
We love you. You're very special.
We have a death toll of 4 after this violence today.
At 3:41 a.m. Eastern Time, Mike Pence said those magic words that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have the votes necessary to be sworn in as president and vice president of the United States.
Yeah.
Now, there was a lot to take a look at and think about in that video, but one of the things that was very stark to me is that there are some unsung heroes from Wednesday. And I'm going to throw up, this isn't a gangster of the week, but this is somebody that needs to be recognized. These Senate staffers who grabbed those count boxes of the electoral votes and made sure that those were secured before they were taken away did a major service for this country. Because even though the information is obviously preserved at the state level, can you imagine how long it would take to kind of scrabble all that stuff together again in the midst of everything else that's going on? And not the least of which, they would not have been able to meet their constitutional deadline on the 6th had all of those things been taken away. So I just want to give a shout out. They got coordinating masks. Look at them. She got the little fly black mask on with her thing, and she's got the little, I don't know, that's a houndstooth. They coordinated. They rocked it right together. And this is something that I think in the midst of everything else that we saw, it's difficult to quantify how important it was that certain people who are unsung kept their heads, considered the ramifications of what was going on, and did the absolute right and necessary thing in order to preserve this nation. We saw smoke. We saw fire. We saw people throwing the American flag down in favor of planting a Trump flag. All of this is happening at the Capitol. And one of the questions that came is that, because, you know, Sharon, you and I have been to the Capitol and have gone to folks' offices to take meetings. On events like this, you would usually stage the fences way back, like at the street level, not a stone's throw away from the damn steps. And all they had were those little movable aluminum fences.
Yeah.
They didn't have the ones that are, right. They don't have the ones that are up there now, which are, 8-foot fences that are like rigid and in place. It was a disaster waiting to happen on the trigger from the coordinator of it. And we have not yet gotten to the fullness of what Trump and his little minions' role was in this. But Mo Kelly made a point of saying Clinton was pilloried for losing 4 American lives in Benghazi.
Speak on it.
You've lost 5 here, including a cop.
Mm-hmm.
Law and order.
57 people injured. And I want to show our viewers this video. It's harrowing. I'm going to give you a warning right now. Mm-hmm. It is not easy to watch, and it shows a very dramatic development. But I want to show it because there's a moment in here which was particularly striking to me, and I think you'll know when you see it. This is courtesy of the Washington Post.
They're leaving. They're leaving.
They're showing that that's the members' lobby, so you can see that they've barricaded some things.
These guys ain't the ones that's the fuck the blue.
Now you hear that, right? F the blue.
We want you to go home. I'm recording, and there's so many people. It's just they're gonna push their way up here. Bro, I see people out there get hurt. I don't want to see you get hurt. We will make a path dead ass. Like we don't want.
Here it comes. Watch what happens next.
Just let us make a path. When the whole country hates I want you to go home. Go. Let's go. Get this shit.
And they left. They left from those outer doors and let these guys have absolute access to this lobby, and this is when the gunplay came into effect.
I didn't realize she was climbing through the window.
Exactly.
She was point person.
Right.
That's where
she was right there in the front. And see, this is video that actually came from the insurgents.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't see it before. We saw images, but the police left.
How did they just step aside?
Because they said, we're going to make a path for you. Let us make a path for you. And when they said, let us make a path for you, they were like, yep, I'm out. And they just slipped right on past and went down the stairs. It was the Senate police beyond the barricade. So I guess Capitol Police and then Senate Police. The Senate Police were behind the barricade, and that's why they had their guns.
Their goal was, we're barricaded. You're gonna
exactly. So don't
They're the only
come.
ones that have respect for. It's
don't
like
come through these doors.
This door is sealed. What are you doing?
It took one shot.
Wow.
One shot, and Ashley Babbitt went down.
Yeah, they didn't put 20 holes in her.
Sure didn't.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. All of this talk about good guys with guns and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Did you see how that boy punched that window and shattered it? I know his hand is hurting because he kept doing it. And
this chick is on record talking smack.
And did you see how quickly it took this long to go from Blue Lives Matter to fuck the blue?
Yep.
That long.
Yeah.
And you think these are your guys, and the guy saying, we had your back when nobody had your back, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But everybody else was over talking him.
I don't have enough wine. I'm traumatized just watching that.
It is incredible that this happened in the Capitol building of the United States of America. That is what he unleashed.
Tom,
that is what he did.
I'm still confused on the stand down that happened that we're discussing. Like, why? I remember me and my crew, I think it was my sophomore year at Morehouse. The second time I almost got kicked out of Morehouse. We were trying to get into the Morehouse versus Morris Brown basketball game in old Archer Gym. And it was a massive crowd. And that's would have been your freshman year, Joy. The whole heave-ho was going. Next thing you know, we're detained just trying to get into a basketball game, right? And here it is. These ones would have had access to our political leaders had they gone through the door. And you're right, Tom, having hit and punched a lot of different things in 48 years. That glass, that dude was hyped up. It's not easy. That's not like just punching plastic and what have you. To do the damage that was done to that window, it's doable, but he was hyped up on something. Probably, like I say, hit that 8 ball before they went into the building. But the point is
probably meth, Chuck.
Yeah,
let's keep it real.
That's true. Let's keep it unclassy because these aren't classy people. But I'm still tripping on the cops just moved out of the way. Where do you ever see that?
I'm traumatized. I'm sitting here
Yeah.
like,
but
I'm not
let's-
surprised at all. Like,
but here's the thing that it really is not top of mind. Each of these congressional offices had laptops and phones and things.
Yeah.
On those laptops are emails. Some of these people have national security information on those government issued laptops, where they receive email through coded and shielded servers and ... We have no idea as of yet what the inventory is on missing material. We have been compromised. It's drip, drip, drip. We have a national security issue.
Period.
And they're, they tore up some of the offices, so it'll take a while to find people's phones. Right.
But let me be clear.
This is serious.
One thing you gotta know about the Chocolate City and Miriam Bowser, because people tried to blame it on DC at first before they found out the protocols. DC ain't letting the Capitol Police get away with this shit.
Nope.
Okay. So on top of their federal investigation, District of Columbia is running their own investigation. Right. They all working together. The FBI was very sparse in this. Secret Service, the Congress, again, these were congressional members underneath their seats. They wasn't a staff. Nope. These were members barricading these offices. These people are finally going to get off their ass and utilize their power to bring a level of justice, because this insurgents didn't just get started.
Nope.
It didn't just come together, and you got to cut the head of the lion off.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this is a cult. And when it trickles down to state legislatures, we don't have, DC has about 2,500 bases. Okay, you got Navy Yard, you got Joint Base Andrews, you got Bowling, you got Indian Head, you got Capitol Police, you got the Pentagon, and the list. I mean, they're everywhere. ISIS just scatter around. I'm a military spouse. Okay, all you did, every place you go, you can get on a base. So there are tens of thousands of members that just live in the vicinity. They ain't got to ship them in from nowhere. And I didn't mention Virginia or outskirts of Maryland.
Yeah.
Do y'all realize, we got third world problems. Like, we have a dictator that refuses to relinquish power. We have we have our own citizens questioning the veracity of our elections. Our democracy is literally falling apart. We don't know who to trust, what to believe, whether something is government sanctioned or not. The corruption apparently goes all the way to the top. He tried to stage a coup and put in a puppet government of his own. This is what we expect from a leader in fatigues with a beret, from the movies or something. But this is what we're living right now. The president is the biggest threat to the country at this moment. You know how crazy that is?
Thank you, Moni, for that update. Now, this is an interesting thing. The very fact that McConnell has agreed to consider impeachment is stunning. Yeah. And the interesting thing about impeachment, we talked about it briefly, but those of you who didn't watch our Wednesday show, if he is convicted after impeachment, he cannot run for office again.
And doesn't he lose his pension and whatnot too?
I think he might.
Money,
I mean, well, he never collected a salary. So
yeah.
So Joy's boyfriend is a gangster. So I got to give Mitch a little bit of props on this one. Yes, Mitch is your boyfriend. Mitch is threatening the 19th because he understands the pardon power. Mitch can drop the gavel at midnight on the 19th.
Right.
Really, he could drop the gavel at 10 a.m. on the 20th and impeach the mofo. So he's saying, Nancy, do what you radical lefties do, impeach the motherfucker.
Right.
I'm going to hold this card. I ain't say, he usually says, I won't do it. Remember that.
Right.
His operandi is, I'm not going to do it. He has just said, I'll consider it on the 19th. Try me, Trump. Try me, Trump. Try me, Trump. Try me, Trump. So he's like this. Do what you think you're going to do. Come 19th, drop the gavel. no Secret Service, no security.
Yep.
Impeachment, you can never run again. So he is playing chess.
Got
He didn't say we ain't considering. He said the 19th because he understands that 9 a.m. on the morning of the 20th power.
Right.
Got you.
No, Mitch is the one who was playing the game throughout all of this. Let's not be confused. Mitch got 3 Supreme Court justices.
This is true.
He got 200 damn judges.
Yeah.
They are doing a lot. And it'll be interesting to see because, of course, secretly, Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley would have no better wish than to have Trump put out of the box and never be able to run again. That would free open everybody to do what it is that they want to do, at least on the POTUS level.
Excellent point, Tom.
And let's be clear.
Yeah.
If the boy is facing 3,000 fraud charges, 22 sexual assault charges, state investigations in Florida and Georgia and New York, he ain't gonna have that much time to tweet if Twitter ever gives him his tweeter again. Mm-hmm. And here's the other thing that I saw in a little meme. I shared it with the group. He signed an agreement when he transferred for tax purposes Mar-a-Lago from a private residence into a private club. The agreement was no more than 7 days consecutively and no more than 21 days in a year. Those are his limitations on when he can stay at Mar-a-Lago.
Okay.
He claimed Mar-a-Lago as his residence for the purposes of voting. But you cannot occupy a residence for only 21 days a year and that be your primary residence, which means his votes for himself registered in the state of Florida are actually election fraud.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I mean, not that DeSantis is going to do anything,
right?
But you can only imagine, because Rick Scott was one of those foolish senators who kept on with the objection thing. So Micro Rubio didn't, but Rick Scott did. So he's got protection down there, but we don't know if West Palm Beach is actually going to allow. He gonna have to buy a spot someplace else because I don't think West Palm Beach is going for it. Go ahead, Joy.
I got 2 things. One, I don't know where he can run. People have been saying, like he's going to leave the country. Where's he going to go? Because Great Britain is like, nah, bro. Ireland was like, I wish you would. France, Canada, Mexico, the islands, like he has nowhere to go. And Russia was like, I'm not answering the phone. Like he has nowhere he can reach.
Yeah, new phone, who this?
New phone, who this, right?
Yeah.
Like,
who this? New phone, who this?
But here's the other thing. I got a question. So I'm checking my own little comments over here. My friend Gary wants to know, how do you build the trust back in our country and our democracy after this?
That's a hell of a question.
You're going to have one of these people that's not Mitt Romney or Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski or, the rhinos. You're going to have someone to have the balls to say, we did the audit. It was not true. Now, if the 30%, like you said, Joy, he's got a hard calcified 30%, but a lot of those people were only activated by him.
Yeah.
And they were not really a part of the GOP tent. Conceptually, they were, but they didn't turn out in the numbers that they have turned out since Trump. You see that record number of voters. That number was pushed up by those Trump loyalists on top of the regular GOP who wouldn't vote for the Democrats. But some of those GOP people did flip to Biden because they wanted institutional norms. And give it some time. If the boy is in federal prison or in state prison, and he is shown to be a liar, there's only going to be so much utility in holding on to Trump's coattails. Because guess what? He lost 2 Senate seats in Georgia.
Joy, repeat that question again.
The question is, how do you build the trust back in our country and our democracy?
So my counter question to that person is, who are you asking about? Because Black people just won Georgia. So I say that facetiously, but 80 million people are fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I'm giving you an answer. 80 million people are fine.
Yeah.
75 million people
who
voted for a ratchet. Half of them voted for his policies and to ride the coattail. So we're really talking about maybe 30 plus million people. Those 30 to 40 million people who never voted before.
Right.
And they ain't vote before because they ain't believe in America. So just don't vote no more and go back into your hole.
Bye.
Thank you.
So
Thank
what
you.
I've learned from this process, this is my opinion and my opinion only, Joy. What I've learned from this process is not only have we smoked out the sleeping dead, we've also, the people who choose to believe Trump, and this is, he could be the Democrat doing this. If you choose to believe Trump, you're just crazy.
Right.
There's no rationalizing a pathological liar. There's no justifying. You didn't lose trust. You just straight cuckoo. I ain't calling you deplorable. You are deranged if you are in total belief of a narcissist who lies when he wakes up, lies when he goes to sleep, lies when he breathes, and believes everything that's said to ingratiate himself.
He even lies about his weight.
That is not a
and his height, Joy, and the height.
So that's true of people will never believe in America because they disenfranchise themselves. They still walk in privilege, and they choose to believe Jim Jones.
And they also
all I want them to do is go back on their plantations,
right,
and go back doing whatever the hell you were doing before.
All of these people operate, and this is something, Chuck, I'm going to throw to you. Okay. They operate in these 3-word phrases. It really is like the folks in 1984, where Trump is double plus good, and Pelosi is double plus ungood, and increased unemployment benefits. Look at what Trump did for us. He got us increased unemployment benefits the day after the unemployment benefits were chopped from where they were in the original bill. It's a memory hole, and any new shiny thing, it's like in Up, squirrel, and then they just move on to the next thing. They live in these sequential moments where they just hop from one hopscotch square to the next one, and whatever is written in the next hopscotch square is what they're going for. So it turned from bullshit in the morning. Then it turned to, where is Mike? Where is Mike? Stop the steal. Stop the steal. Audit the vote. Audit the vote. They are not intellectually capable of the level of sophistication to discern reality from Trump.
Now,
that's a real challenge.
I want to add on to that because we talk about I think there is an interesting topic to discuss when we talk about the faith in our democracy. I think, to Sharon's point about black votes are fine, more minorities came out to vote than we've ever seen before. We have a more diverse, potentially diverse cabinet, potentially diverse Congress than we've seen in many, many lifetimes, if ever, because people are believing that their vote can make a difference. That is not already, the fix isn't already in beforehand. And so I do think that we may lose some people who were caught up in the cult of personality that Trump created. But I think that we have also, on the other end, gained people who had given up on seeing progress and justice. And I'm not talking about the super far left, crazy radical liberals, et cetera. I'm talking about people who just were tired of trying. And I saw them try again, especially because I live here in Georgia. And I know that some of the outreach we did with people who were like, I don't even see the point. And then they were like, well, you know what, though, I will go and try. And then to have their efforts rewarded with 2 Democratic Senate seats in the red state, the formerly red state of Georgia, I think there is faith in our democracy. But at the same time, I also watched this thing. I want to think his name was Frank Lutz, something like that. He did a panel and he put a video of the panel up on Twitter. He's like, it was a panel of all Trump supporters. And there was a Trump supporter from New York talking to the rest of them. He was like, y'all, we lost. Like with his little New York accent, he's like, we lost. They couldn't prove it in court. He has no evidence. We need to suck it up and move on. It is what it is. And they all turned on him like, no, you're wrong. You're a liar. You're wrong. Now, these weren't 2 teeth hit. These were intelligent people who refused to believe that it wasn't rigged. And they throwing out, like you said, those 3 things. They didn't stop the steal. Well, show us the votes. Well, let us audit it, and he's like, what are you talking about? The states audit on their own. And we did the audit. They did it 3 times in Georgia. He has heard and he has deprogrammed himself, and they started calling him a fake Trump supporter. They won't hear it. And for that, there's no coming back from that unless you want to deprogram yourself. We're going to lose them. But at the same time, do you really want them?
No.
That's my question.
Don't nobody want them?
No, not at all. And Joy, I actually believe, and this is going to sound very elitist. I've been actually called an elitist for positive in this, but no one cares. These are the ones that did not vote before 2016 for Republicans. A good number of these millions did not vote. They are not abreast on the issues, like we're saying. They don't understand conservatism from progressivism to being a moderate any more than they understand quantum physics. Okay, let's just be real about it. Tom broke it down. They are 2-3 word soundbite type of people, and once Trump is off the scene, they will be no longer interested in politics on a macro level, and we won't really have to worry about it. But what I wanted to add, y'all, is after listening to what each of you has said in the last 10 minutes or so, it's going to be interesting in that, be it on the 19th or the 21st, the day after the inauguration, pay close attention to what it is that Trump will say once he's gone. Because once he's back to being private citizen Trump, I have a feeling that at least for the foreseeable future, as all of his other legal issues start to come to the fore, I mean, we very well might on the 21st, have all sorts of different, news about unsealed indictments. We'll see. But he can't help himself. And one of the downsides of his Twitter account being suspended is that he can't tweet some incriminating stuff right now. Because what I'm interested in seeing, after we watched all of these videos and we've listened to his speech on Wednesday, and we've heard Senator Ben Sasse earlier today say that this guy was cheering on these guys and women as they were, scaling the walls and desecrating the Capitol. I have a feeling that with the whole inciting insurrection piece, that a very astute U.S. attorney or the next attorney general, Merrick Garland, is going to be paying careful attention to what Donald Sr. says, what Donald Jr. says, because they are inciting insurrection right now. And once he no longer has the protections of office, it will be interesting to see if they move in and arrest him at that point in time on that alone. Because again, what we saw this week, we've laughed about it. Some of the memes have been funny, but as we start to, draw to the end of our time together, this was some disturbing stuff that happened this week. It's not unprecedented. I mean, hell, there was a Civil War fought for 4 years where, people were out of control over lies and foolishness and not getting their way. So this was not beyond the realm of possibility. But again, as I just want to reiterate, I am still disturbed. And Sharon, I wanted to ask you this, because I know you're a military life, lived a long time up there in the district and in Maryland. What is it, you all, that we can see in the next 2 weeks with this million militia march that's supposed to be jumping off? How, if Donald Trump is still, if nothing else, the titular head of government right now, in what ways can he thwart preparation to repel these million marchers in the next 2 weeks? That's one of the things that I'm really concerned about, because I know they're going to come heavy. I know they're going to be armed. I know they're going to be brandishing the arms. And at the end of the day, I'm like, this should not be allowed to happen. I know Biden's not going to have the big inaugural parade and all of the pomp and circumstance, but I don't even care about that. These people should not be allowed to come and do again what they did on Wednesday. But I am at a loss in terms of trying to figure out how can it be done with Donald Trump still in control of the Department of Defense and ostensibly whatever it is going to happen around those federal buildings. Any one of y'all want to take that?
I'll take a stab at it first.
Okay.
Let me be very, very clear with our viewers and you all. He did not produce that video today without preconditions. They absolutely had threatened him with the 25th Amendment. I'm not going to believe that Pence wasn't a part of it, that they had enough people in place, including those current and previous defense secretaries, including a boatload of past presidents, and people who at this point will put a gun to his head. I'm absolutely certain that that video and his concession speech did not come with preconditions. One of the preconditions is you're no longer in charge. You are no longer in charge of the military, of any actions whatsoever on behalf of inauguration and on behalf of preparation for inauguration. Your counter protest, they can't stop that, but he can't put up any roadblocks. That lack of execution of the National Guard and all that we're about to learn, it's going to be drip, drip, drip over the next 12 days, Chuck. It's going to be drip, drip, drip. Okay. How many police officers were in the audience? How many military people? There are going to be people that's going to be dishonorably discharged in the next 10 days. There's going to be all kind. Remember, first the Capitol Police chief resigned, and now all of a sudden he decided for the good of the order not to resign. They are finding all the holes. It's not hard. Mm-hmm. What he did do, Chuck, was undo the preparation for January 6th. That gig is up. Right. Again, I have never been so afraid that I had to hide under some chairs.
Yeah.
My father was shot in a movie theater, okay, in his groin. I saw that PTSD for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. So when I even think about that level of fear and that level of stand down, I don't have that personal experience, but I've seen the effects of it. So when I even think about someone with actual power, someone who actually survived, like my father survived, mm-hmm. but had the impact of the wound, and all those people who know they have power. Mm-hmm. Okay. There was Donald Trump don't go from 0 to 100. That wasn't just any old speech that he gave. We all know it was bullshit, mm-hmm. but we also know it was forced. Right. He didn't just wake up and say, well, I got to do this. Okay. There was a whole lot of pressure. And that's why now the impeachment is riling up, because they cut a deal not to do the 25th Amendment. And people are still talking about that shit. That ship has sailed. Okay. Once he cut that video, 25th Amendment is off the table. Half the people done resigned already. There ain't enough people to even pass the damn thing. Mm-hmm. So by virtue of that, some serious defense people, and remember I said this 2 nights ago, mm-hmm. Dick Cheney somewhere up in here, he might have put the gun to his goddamn head. We'll never know that. Okay.
He does do those things.
Somebody has already determined, and he has acquiesced control of standing off any of this. Now, the people have already been ignited though, but they don't have an emperor anymore. So they walking into straight desecration. Mm-hmm. Okay. What we need to be concerned about, and I said this to you all a couple weeks ago, stay your asses home.
Yeah.
Okay? Right. Because they come into the state level and we ain't got that kind of militia, that kind of power. They come into the state level. They're looking for federal buildings, federal monuments. If you work for any of these places, take the 19th and take the 17th through 20th off. Just tell them you got COVID and stay your ass home.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joy, pick it up.
I want to add something to that because I watched the speech given by the mayor of DC and the chief of police of DC. And all the stuff they want to get to, don't you have to get through DC to get there? So, excuse my French, if fuck around and find out was a person,
right?
The chief of police of DC Metro, because what I love that he said was, he goes, this, we do protests all the time. We are prepared for peaceful protests. This is what we do. And if they get out of hand, we're prepared for that too. It's what we do. We have a protest here 2 and 3 times a day, every day. This was a planned attack. And he said it on television. And so, because people were trying to say, how come you guys weren't ready? They were ready for a normal protest. Even if it got out of hand, this was a planned attack and it was an inside job. And they know that you ain't getting through DC to get to the Capitol, whatever else. Because again, fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you. Fool me twice, I'm whoop that ass. That's
Well, you know, I'll tell you right now, people who don't live in DC and maybe have never left DC don't understand that you can lock some things down.
Okay.
How about you just press a button and the metro don't run?
Right.
How about you block that bridge which is necessary for you to get from National into the district? If Chris Christie can do a bridge gate, Muriel Bowser can do a bridge gate, and it's just gonna be like,
bye.
Yeah, there's no metro today, so like you're just gonna have to walk and stuff, and sorry about that, because
that's not how it works in DC. It's like, look, motherfucker, we locking this shit down. Boop. That's Chocolate City straight up.
Right. And don't get it twisted. And that's a lot of time for you to be in town, go home back to Arkansas, and then get another flight. And American Airlines has already said they ain't even serving liquor on the flights anymore coming into National because they got it too litty up on the flight. So it's gonna be tricky, and it's gonna be less tricky for Muriel to stop you than it is going to be for you to repeat that. You almost overplayed your hand on something that was never going to work. There was never a way that you were going to prevent Biden from being confirmed on the 6th.
Right.
Because you had an armed insurrection breaking windows, breaking into offices, and you didn't stop it. Because Mitch McConnell said, get your asses back in here. We finishing tonight.
Right.
And even when they tried those stunts and Tommy Tuberville's got up there and stumble-bumbled through and Josh Hawley tried to be cute, Kelly Loeffler was like, yeah, I can't in conscience do this, so I'm good. Let's roll it. Roll that beautiful beam footage. And you dumb asses in the House of Representatives, you knew Nancy had you, so there wasn't any even point for you to do that. You're going to sit there like you're aligned with your constituents, I guess. I guess if you hadn't done it, maybe your offices would have been desecrated just like they desecrated the Capitol. But it was a fool's errand.
Yeah.
And all of you who continue to lie, I had to give Greta Sustern some heat today too, because she was talking about, is it time to break up Amazon and such and such and such and such? And I said, these right-wing folks really get socialist awfully quick.
Mm-hmm.
We
when it's something that they don't like. What happened to capitalism?
We in charge. We
all
have
of
the House.
these exactly.
We had the Senate. We had a White House. Fuck you.
I'm telling you, I've been losing my ass over the last couple of years, but it is available eternally for y'all to kiss. You could get on a plane out to LA. I got a college fund I need to fill up, so you can buy tickets to kiss my ass. But they need to figure it out, and I don't know if it's going to be bits and pieces. I don't know if it's going to be somebody like Hawley, who actually graduated from an elite school and an elite law school, who the scales will magically drop from his eyes. But if you aren't, why don't you get Missouri to audit its votes?
Yeah.
You start with your own state. Stop trying to tell Georgia what to do. Georgia did it 3 times. 3 times. Hand counted every ballot. And all of you representatives who said, stop the steal, well, since it's all invalid, why don't you all just turn in your Capitol credentials?
Yeah.
And go back home and wait for the new vote? How about that?
Yeah.
Because you were on the same ballot he was.
Look, you know what Trump successfully did, Joy?
What?
He has successfully allowed us not to talk about Brother Warnock and Brother Ossoff.
True.
Yes, successfully. And I'm going to talk about him right now.
Yeah.
We won, y'all. We won. We won, y'all. We won. We got the White House. We got the House. We got the U.S. Senate. Motherfuckers, we got the House.
Okay.
We got the houses. Motherfucker, we got all 3 branches of government. Fuck you.
Okay.
Have your goddamn Supreme Court.
Tell him, Sharon.
Sharon, let me pick, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell him, Sharon.
She the baddest.
And then we gonna appoint somebody. Okay.
Well, exactly.
I'm not gonna give Donald Trump all this goddamn power.
No,
we got the House, the Senate, and the White House. That's gonna be the Black House for another 4 years. Fuck you, Donald Trump.
So somebody said, a pundit said, he lost the White House, lost the Senate. Damned if he didn't make America great again after all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
1945, get the hell on.
Right. Get thee hence.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In the
I'm
word,
not gonna lie. In celebrating Blackness this week, I mean, yeah, it took some of the national shine off of Brother Warnock and Brother John Ossoff and their victory, but their victories were still prominent. But it was so funny collectively as Black people. And I know we have a lot of non-Black viewers too, and we appreciate and love y'all. And we're not talking about y'all when we're talking about those Trump white folks. But it was a trip to be able to sit back and watch white folks lose their minds up there in the Capitol the other day. And all of the negative stereotypes that those types of white folks like to purvey about us, which have always been false. But look at them climbing the damn walls. They call us monkeys.
Stuff.
Yeah, they call us monkeys, right?
And Tommy Lauren's tweets did not age well at all.
At all. You get where I'm coming from? You know, like we talked about, they're in there defecating in the people's house, in the Senate chambers. These are some disgusting, vile, trailer park, nasty, methamphetamines ingesting type of people. And those are Trump's people. And so my white friends, I know, and our white friends that follow our show and follow our pages, we love y'all. But I don't have any love for the trash that was in Washington, D.C. the other day. And I'll be glad to see the trash taken out, be it through the 25th, be it through impeachment, or be it through this regular transition into President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on the 20th of January.
Somebody else. Okay, so I did see a couple of brown-skinned Trump supporters out there, and I'm looking at them like, do you know who you are? Do you know what you're doing? You know what? You lost, bro. I can't even come get you. What it is. But somebody's like, where's Kanye? I haven't heard from him in a minute. Where's Ice Cube? Where's Wheezy? What happened to all the rappers that was all back in Trump? They all deuces. They ghost.
Quiet.
It's like,
right. I'm not with them. I don't even know what's happening right now. But I that same video I told you where the New York Trump supporter was like, we lost, we need to get over it. There was a Black guy on there too, and he was like, like you can see him slowly be like, my God, what have I done?
Right.
And he's like, the second realization, oh shit, I'm on camera.
Right.
You realize you're ruining your own. I'm big about personal branding. You are damaging your own brand right now, son. Ain't nobody gonna trust you anymore.
I coined a term in one of the groups that I'm in on Facebook, adjacent privilege. Because y'all thought because you had a red hat and you were standing next to a Viking and someone dressed up like George Washington that you inherited their privilege. But you're gonna see real quick how that adjacent privilege is not the same. And speaking of adjacent privilege, they came and got that girl from the Soho hotel thing.
Yup.
Maya got. And she went on a slow speed chase through her neighborhood and then slammed a car door on a cop because she was resisting arrest. So that has been added to her charges. And her lawyer is like, I don't know what to tell y'all. She's not well.
For those who forgot about this, because so much has happened, this was the woman who tackled a 14-year-old boy in the hotel, saying he took her iPhone and tried to say that he was a criminal, and ended up assaulting the young man with his father filming the whole thing. And then she led them on a slow chase through her neighborhood, like a little white Bronco riding Orange Juice Jones. What's his name?
Y'all just said
Orenthal. And she claimed her Latinahood, which is why I knew she was confused, because you don't come out the box talking about you're a Latina when you about to get arrested. That's not how this works.
So I need to clarify for all the Negroes and ninjas and people who call themselves Latinos. Okay, brace yourselves.
Uh-oh.
Hispanic and Latino is not a race.
Right. Nor is Chicano.
All of that is cultural. It's called ethnicity, since we are the intellectual talk show. So, as an Afro-Latina,
right,
I am of the Negroid race.
Okay.
I is black, just like Kamala. Kamala is of South Asian descent. Her ethnicity is Indian, but she is black. Her father is from Jamaica. Just like people from Jamaica. We is black. Our ethnicities, those of us that choose to claim it, whenever a light-skinned Latino just claims to be Latino, is because they check white and then they check Hispanic. I used to check black and of Hispanic descent until they told me they water us down. And I told my mother, you can check Hispanic. I gonna check black, and I'm gonna disavow my heritage, and I'm gonna say not of Hispanic descent.
Well, so you still pronounce it Yucca though.
Look, man.
You ain't that not Latina.
My mother always tells me, stop telling people you're from Jamaica. We ain't from no damn Jamaica. I said, your grandmother's from Jamaica. She's like, I'm from Costa Rica. I said, we're going to have a history lesson when I get older, okay? I am, as my new Secretary of Education stated, I am bicultural. I'm as American pie as I am rice and peas.
It is.
Okay, I'm bicultural. Okay, but my race is black, Negroid. Humanities, I'm of the Negro race. See my forehead? See my nose slope? I am of the Negroid race.
Amen.
Okay, Latino, Hispanic, Chicano is ethnicity.
Thank you.
What's your race, Soho Karen?
Thank you.
I'm feeling a little triggered, Joy.
Right. Queen Latifah appears like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I know we might need to break up these boxes a little bit. We got team light skin to the top, team dark skin to the bottom. I mean, what? There it is.
Oh, and now it's left and right.
I know. Let's do the diagonals. There it is.
Come up here for me.
Here's a story of two light-skinned Negroes who were sitting on a show with two dark guys.
I know.
Four friends that were all together to disprove Trump's old lies.
Okay, that's right. Amen.
My historian Chucky.
Yeah, baby, you're right.
Where did Marcus Garvey go through? Costa Rica.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And Chuck would definitely know that since he's his baby cousin twin.
If not his grandson.
Right?
Grandma ain't here to talk to me.
Chuck doesn't look so much like him. That's my relative. So we're gonna have another conversation.
Amen.
Okay. Marcus Garvey settled the Negroes in Costa Rica. Okay. August 31st in Costa Rica, which all of y'all gonna be with me in about 2 years. We celebrate Brother Marcus. He's our Afro-Latino hero. And we have our Juneteenth in Costa Rica is around Marcus Garvey.
Hello.
Little black international history for your asses.
Amen.
Do it, Sharon.
Get it.
So I know that we normally do a Gangster of the Week, but since we did almost unanimously agree, I know why Chuck gave his Morehouse brother some love. I get it. But the rest of us were all on the correct page with Stacey Abrams.
You got to show love to all both.
We do. As a matter of fact, I still have the graphic of all of our HBCU superstars. Spelman College, Stacey Abrams, Kamala Harris from Howard University, the Reverend Dr. Warnock from Morehouse, and she wasn't exactly my classmate, but we were contemporaneously at Florida A&M. Keisha Lance Bottoms. HBCUs are doing the thing. What did you say, Sharon?
I pledged her, honey.
Yes, that's true.
It's on her Delta certificate.
Yes.
True that. True.
Let's be clear.
So we are doing big things. And to Sharon's point, she said something earlier that really resonated to me. It's 80 million of us that are fine.
Yeah.
Now, I know that what Stacey Abrams has done, I know that there was a sense that maybe that was just going to be tokenism or lip service offered to her, and some people were questioning why she didn't get a position in the cabinet, and some people were saying this, that, and the third. Stacey Abrams knows what she wants to do, and Stacey Abrams is going to be fine. And there is never again going to be a situation where Stacey Abrams is doubted or her
Amen.
powers are underestimated, because she did that.
Yep.
She gave you the Senate, Biden. That's better than some random secretary of blop de bloop. You know, what did Ben Carson do as head of HUD? He was black, and so it was urban.
In office.
Exactly. And he sat there with a painting of Jesus touching him in his daggone thing. And
that was the weirdest thing.
I mean, Jesus with a yaki weave. So this is what I'm saying. You don't have to be a part of the Biden administration to exercise your power. And we as black people, especially the black people in Georgia, I don't know if it's going to be a whole lot of exodus from California to move to Georgia, where the houses are cheaper and you can actually get stuff done. I'm kind of you ain't that full. I'm kind of side-eyed in Georgia, like,
right,
because it's expensive. It's real expensive out here. But there is stuff that is happening in our communities, and if we take up this mantle that was engaged with Black Lives Matter, if we transition into being fully politically engaged instead of every 4 years politically engaged, if we make sure that we keep the momentum going into the midterms so that we don't lose any seats, if we can pick up a couple of other Senate seats, Raphael Warnock is going up again in 2022, so we need to make sure that that situation holds. We need to retake some of these seats back in the House, and we need to make sure that Trumpism goes away. And I'll tell you right now, he embarrassed himself. The biggest thing that he did, the biggest piece of damage that he did to himself was what he did to his perception in the world. Every leader of every country is looking at him like, nah, bruh. And Angela Merkel don't like his ass anyway.
Never did.
And so, Deutsche Bank is looking like, wait a minute now. He owes us $323 million. The two people who used to handle his account have both retired.
Mm-hmm.
And now he might be impeached or might be minimized, and he's definitely going to be indicted, and there's definitely going to be IRS scrutiny. Should we just call those loans now? Should we call those? I mean, he's got 2 years, but he might be in jail in 2 years. We can't lose $323 million now.
Mm-mm.
They don't want pennies on the Deutschmark. They want all of their money.
Run me my money.
Run me my checks. And so that's the danger that he really is facing right now. It's an existential danger of his entire empire, not even his freedom. Because as long as he's got some money, Martha Stewart came back bigger than ever before. And she chilling with Snoop, getting the good sticky. So he is everything, all of the things: personal freedom, company, children, empire, political impact. Everything is going to fall at the same time. And that's what he will not be able to recover from. And once there is no Trump and there is no Halo and there is no television show and all this, because, Mark Burnett was getting ready to do the next blah, 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 ain't going to be no Apprentice no more.
Right.
I want to talk about, we've been talking about, how do we change, how do we change going forward? How do we maintain this momentum? We have to remember the children that are 10 years old right now are majority people of color. So in 8 years, 2028, they will be of voting age, and people do what they see done. If we can maintain this involvement at this level, all we need to do is do it for 4 or 6 more years, because by the time they're 14, 16 years old, they're paying attention, even at 12, paying attention to the news, paying attention to what they see on Instagram, Twitter, whatever the new Snapchat, TikTok thing is going to be. Matter of fact, my friend Gary was asking questions earlier. His daughter Shelby is already involved in this idea of social justice and of being fair. They're raising their kids that way, and they're going to raise their kids that way. So if we can hang on and maintain even 80 to 60% of the momentum we have now for 3 or 4 more years, we will grow civically involved constituents going forward. That will be all they've ever known.
Exactly.
That's what we got to do.
Just like they knew a black president coming out the box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when you think about that difference, I mean, it took us, 40 most of us are around the 50 mark. You know, I think Joy is a little spring chicken, but most of us are old enough to know a lifetime of only seeing one sort of person occupy that most important era, that most important office. And then when I was coming up, Reagan was the guy who was in charge when I was in high school transitioning into college. So that was even worse because Reagan was a hot mess. And now this generation is looking at Muslims in Congress. They're looking at record numbers of women in Congress. They're looking at people of color doing things. You know, the Secretary of Defense may be a brother. And now that we have the Senate, it'll be a little bit easier to squeak that one through. Although some people like Elizabeth Warren were talking trash. Sit down, Liz. Just let the brother take the job. We are at the cusp of a potential real revolution of the majority population that is emerging in this country. And if we can repair our rifts with our brown brothers and sisters, and we can really mobilize together for the things that matter to our communities and our families the most, and we can turn some of those crazed and misinformed people and get them to see their best interests, we really could transform this country. Joe Biden said, build back better. We can. But we can't let up. Right. I don't know how many groups I'm in on Facebook talking about, oh, what you gonna do to earn my vote? Bruh, you have never even written a letter or gone to a city council meeting. What are you talking about? Right. Do you think they really care? They ain't seeing you go to the ballot box to vote. They know whether or not they won or lost, but they listen to the people who talk to them after, and they listen to the people who are writing checks. You ain't writing a check. You ain't writing a letter. Nobody cares.
True.
So we need to do that, and I am glad that we are claiming it. And it goes, I'm glad to see that our HBCUs are roaring back, and this is our time, y'all.
Amen.
This is our time, and we need to seize it. Let's talk about closing the show down. We've been here for an hour and 33 minutes. I was accused last time of trying to stretch. I am not trying to stretch. I have a little bit of a cold. I'm going to take me one of them.
We like each other.
We do. We do like each other. We love doing this, and we love having our audience engage with us. We thank you again. Next time, by the time we do our next show, we will have it on YouTube. So if you want to watch on YouTube, you can tell your family and friends that are not on Facebook and don't have an idea of what Twitch is. You can watch the show on YouTube. We'll be putting up all of our old episodes on YouTube as well so that you can enjoy them. And we hope that you continue to engage and hope that you continue to enjoy. I want to ask everybody to keep an eye out on Observations for Chuck's new programs. He's already dropped an initial episode, Joy Stevens, with Thoughts and Moments. We're trying to see if we can launch Sharon Letman's podcast. I'm Thomas Talking.
What is my podcast called, Tom?
Sharon has a 7-year-old son. She christened herself on Wednesday with her podcast name. So we're going to see if we can get her as a working mom with a 7-year-old son.
So this is what we have to call it. Sharon's 52 and got a 70-year-old son.
Put an asterisk. Sharon has a 7-year-old son, asterisk, and she's 52.
And say help at the end. Put help.
Right. Sharon's going to drop her Cash App each and every episode. Y'all can send her some change for books and socks and things.
True that.
But we do want you to engage with all of the projects because we are doing multiple things. We are trying to give a space for these voices to come together, and we are all working to that end. So, in the waning moments of this week's broadcast, Chuck, since you're behind me in the Brady Bunch grid, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I want to thank everybody. First of all, love y'all and appreciate what it is that we're doing. Tom, you broke that down. But I think that I want to, and I did it on Facebook earlier, but I just want to give a shout out to everybody in this country who has fought back against Donald Trump when fighting back against Donald Trump seemed futile. We never lost faith. We continued to fight. We continued to call out racism and sexism and religious bigotry and all of the things that we found to be deplorable with his administration and with his supporters over the last 4 years. And while we are in the process of working toward building back better, we have to continue to push back against those people who, as the numerical majority does become browner and blacker in the country, those who would wish to implement a system somewhat similar to what we remember from our youth in South Africa with apartheid. White supremacy isn't going to go away. It's been around 500, 600, 700 years. They're not going to go away. And so with that, we have to continue to work together as people of color, and we have to work with our white allies, our white brothers and sisters who recognize that it all has to change and has to end as well. And with that, again, shout out to everyone who has not been afraid and haven't just come around in the last 48 hours when it's convenient to come around because the end is near.
Sharon,
it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, co-hosts, y'all are the bomb diggity. It is such a joy to hang out with Joy, Chuck, and Tom every Friday night. Now, let's be honest. If it wasn't COVID, y'all would not see my ass here every Friday night. I am the happy hour queen, even if it's in my living room. But COVID has changed my lifestyle, and I am so much enjoying this period with this crew. And I thank you all for welcoming me into this circle. I'm going to do some shameless shout outs because my biggest fan club is on the show tonight. My mama, Barbarita from Costa Rica. My hubby bubby, Alvin, 25-year Iraqi war veteran Hicks. My sister Vivian out in Arizona. My second mama, Sharon, namesake Sharon. And I have two fan crushes. That's Moni J. She keeps me dying laughing with her comments. And our favorite boo, Harry, our ride or die on this show. And we want to thank all of you, all of our fans, all of our viewers, first timers. I see my second room doom, freshman year, Phyllis Albert joined us for the first time. I see her in the chat, and so many of you. Yes, when I launched my trip to my other motherland, Costa Rica, for Afro Latino Festival, honoring Marcus Garvey, all of y'all invited, all of y'all. So, and I mean that. You can hold me to it. Join us, keep up our chat. But I am so happy, so proud, so honored to be Black. I feel so emancipated, liberated, watching them cut the food. I dare y'all to ever talk about us again. I dare y'all. I wore my pearl earrings because my pearls didn't match my cute little outfit tonight, but I did put on my pearl earrings so I could clutch my earrings because I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want my brothers and sisters here. I'm serious. If you work for the federal government in any federal building and you ain't working virtually, I need you to stay your ass home January 17th through the 20th. 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. Like I said, as many, y'all better start coughing and stay your asses home. Okay? This ain't our fight. Okay, we are benefiting from them imploding each other. This ain't our fight. We did what we supposed to do. We showed up, and for once in God knows how long, our votes actually counted. So we snuck up in there while they were fighting each other. If Stacey didn't ignite the outrage in 2018, Georgia couldn't have got it right in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
This is a state of course. Okay, this is a state of course moment. Our ancestors did it for decades, and they always infuse something else to set us off, whether it's Jim Crow, whether it's Brown v. Board, whether it's voter suppression, reimagined, every which way. This time, we broke through. So what they doing to each other, it's really not about us. Stay out the way. Stay in your joy. Keep celebrating our wins. Keep staying focused. Love on each other. We don't need their stamp of approval. We don't need their recognition of how glorious we are. We have to believe that we're glorious ourselves. We got to embrace those that want to be embraced. We got to teach where they want to be engaged, but we ain't got nothing to prove. Stay the course and let them learn from their own mistakes. They have to clean this up. And a few ninjas that want to be seen with them, go for it. Just wear bulletproof vest that day because you just a casualty. But I'm going to stay in my joy. Hats off, Georgia. Woo! Georgia!
How am I supposed to follow that? Hey. Since she gave shout outs, I want to give a couple shout outs too. I noticed that my friends' texts weren't showing up where I could see them on my screen, but have a little phone here. So shout out to Gary Hagler, shout out to Gray Hardy, shout out to my cousin Kim Walker, shout out to my other cousin Anthony Stevens. Who else is in here? Shalene. Hey, Jay, Tanya, everybody that showed up to support our show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I appreciate the interaction and the dialogue. I'm watching all y'all's comments like, yes, we are all on the same page. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you come back and join us again. Tell a friend, because we're trying to grow the show, not just so we can have more fun. Hey, Tara. Not just so we can have more fun on a random night, but so we can actually start to, as Sharon said, stay the course, with a little bit of levity and a little bit of brown liquor, but we want to stay the course. So with that, Tom, you can come off mute.
So I don't really have anything to say. I kind of pre-did my comments, but I do want to thank my Aunt Rose and Uncle Mike, who are watching the show for the very first time. My mom informed me that Mom, Dana Cunningham is on here all the time. And since my dad isn't on Facebook, he can never watch this. He's got to watch on my mom's phone or the laptop. But Dad, we're going to be on YouTube next week, so you can watch. We feel blessed, and we want you to understand how blessed we feel that you spend some time with us every week. And we're just going to keep doing it because we want to keep it going, and we want to make sure that we continue to provide this service. So until we get on something different in terms of a broadcast platform, we going to be here and on Twitch and on YouTube. So join us, spread the word, get people to come, send us messages. Let us know. We'd love to have some questions on. That's right. We'd love to have some questions sent to us. We'd love to feature your videos, questions to us. And before we close everything down, I do want to play something that our very own Joy shared with us. So I'm a pause it right now because it is. She did make it, and it is actually the most important message. The most important message, I think, of the day. So wait a minute. I got to make sure. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, submitted for your enjoyment, the hottest trending music video on the interwebs and Black Twitter, the newest remix of this amazing and apropos song. Hit it. Bye, Ben. Bye, Josh. Oh, you can go all the way to hell, Don Jr. Bye, Ivanka. Ooh, and you orange bastard. We don't want you there. Ain't nobody come to see you, Trump. You're fired. All right, everybody. We wish you all the best. It is the weekend, and we want you to get your natural lives. So enjoy, and have fun until next time when you come back to watch Steel Sharpens Steel.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, and God bless.